The weight of centuries pressed down on the Vatican. Scandal and whispers of corruption cast long shadows over the Holy See. But in the heart of the storm, a beacon of hope emerged. Pope Tagle, a man of unwavering faith and resolute action, took a bold stand. He vowed to cleanse the Church, to root out corruption and restore its sacred trust. The world watched with bated breath. Could this humble man from the Philippines, known for his compassion and humility, confront the deeply entrenched forces of darkness? Could he heal the wounds that ran so deep within the Church he loved? The challenges were immense. But Pope Tagle knew that the soul of the Catholic Church hung in the balance. He was determined to fight for its future, to restore its integrity and lead it into a new era of transparency and accountability. For years, rumors of financial impropriety had swirled within the Vatican's ancient walls. They were whispers at first, easily dismissed. But whispers grew into accusations, accusations into investigations. The truth, when it finally emerged, was more shocking than anyone could have imagined. Millions of dollars, meant for the poor and the marginalized, had vanished. Lavish lifestyles, hidden bank accounts, and opaque financial dealings painted a picture of an institution that had lost its way. The faithful felt betrayed. The world looked on in disbelief. The abuse of power extended beyond financial misconduct. Stories of cover-ups and silenced whistleblowers revealed a culture of fear and intimidation within the Church hierarchy. The very institution that preached humility and service seemed to have succumbed to greed and self-preservation. The revelations sent shockwaves through the Catholic world. Something had to change. The Church needed a leader who would confront the darkness head-on, a leader with the courage to demand accountability and usher in a new era of transparency. Pope Tagle's response was swift and decisive. He understood the gravity of the situation. This was not just about money. It was about the soul of the Church. He knew that restoring trust would require more than words. It demanded action. He ordered a comprehensive audit of Vatican finances, demanding full transparency. No account was off limits. He established a new independent body to oversee financial transactions, ensuring accountability and preventing future abuses. Pope Tagle met with victims of financial mismanagement and abuse of power, listening to their stories with compassion and empathy. He offered apologies and pledged to make amends. He knew that true healing could only begin with acknowledging the pain that had been inflicted. Recognizing the systemic nature of the problem, he implemented rigorous new financial regulations and training programs for clergy. He made it clear that corruption would no longer be tolerated at any level of the Church. Pope Tagle's actions sent ripples across the globe. The Catholic world watched with a mix of hope and skepticism. Some praised his courage, seeing his reforms as a long-overdue reckoning. Others remained cautious, waiting to see if these changes would be more than just cosmetic. World leaders acknowledged the significance of Pope Tagle's stance. They recognized that corruption was not just a problem for the Catholic Church. It was a global scourge that required a united front. Within the Vatican, reactions were more complex. Some embraced the reforms, recognizing the urgent need for change. Others, however, felt threatened by the new transparency and accountability. They had benefited from the old system, and they would not relinquish their power without a fight. Navigating resistance, the challenges of reform. Change, especially within an institution as old and entrenched as the Catholic Church, was never going to be easy. Pope Tagle faced resistance from within the Vatican itself. Powerful figures, accustomed to operating in the shadows, pushed back against his reforms. They used their influence to sow doubt and discord, whispering in the ears of the hesitant and the skeptical. They questioned Pope Tagle's motives, accusing him of undermining the Church's authority and traditions. The challenges were daunting, but Pope Tagle refused to be deterred. He knew that the path to reform would be fraught with obstacles, but he remained steadfast in his commitment to cleanse the Church and restore its moral authority. He reached out to those who opposed him, seeking dialogue and understanding. He reminded them that they were all united in service to God, and that true unity could only be achieved through honesty and accountability. The power of faith. Ordinary Catholics demand change. While the battle for reform raged within the Vatican, a groundswell of support emerged from an unexpected source. Ordinary Catholics around the world. They had watched in horror as the scandals unfolded, their faith shaken to its core. But instead of abandoning their faith, they found their voices. They wrote letters, signed petitions, and organized protests, demanding transparency and accountability from their leaders. They reminded the church hierarchy that their power flowed not from titles or positions, but from the trust and devotion of the faithful. They made it clear that they would no longer tolerate hypocrisy and corruption. This groundswell of support from the grassroots injected new energy into the reform movement. It reminded Pope Tagle that he was not alone in his struggle. Millions of Catholics around the world shared his vision for a more transparent and accountable church, a legacy of renewal, long-term impacts of reform. The long-term impact of Pope Tagle's reforms remained to be seen, but one thing was certain: the Catholic Church would never be the same. The process of healing and renewal would take time, but the seeds of change had been sown. The reforms had the potential to usher in a new era of transparency and accountability, restoring trust in the Church's leadership and institutions. By confronting corruption head-on, Pope Tagle had shown the world that the Catholic Church was willing to learn from its mistakes and emerge stronger. The reforms also served as a powerful reminder that the Church was not just an institution, it was a community of believers. The voices of ordinary Catholics demanding change and accountability had been heard. This newfound engagement had the potential to revitalize the Church from within, creating a more inclusive and participatory model of leadership towards a brighter future, the path to redemption. The road ahead was still long and arduous. The forces of resistance remained strong, and the temptation to slip back into old ways would always be present. But Pope Tagle had shown the world that the Catholic Church was capable of change. He had reminded the faithful that the Church's mission was not about power or prestige, but about service, compassion, and love. He had offered a vision of a church that was more transparent, accountable, and responsive to the needs of its people. It was a vision that resonated far beyond the Vatican walls, a vision that offered hope not just to Catholics, but to all who yearned for a more just and equitable world. A global church united, the power of collective action. The challenges facing the Catholic Church were not unique. Corruption, abuse of power, and a lack of transparency were problems that plagued institutions and societies around the world. Pope Tagle's bold stand offered a powerful lesson. Change was possible, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. His example inspired others to demand better from their leaders, to hold them accountable for their actions, and to work together to create a more just and equitable world. It was a reminder that the fight for justice and transparency transcended borders and beliefs, uniting people of goodwill in a common cause. The journey towards a brighter future would not be easy. It would require courage, perseverance, and a willingness to challenge the status quo. But, as Pope Tagle had shown, even small acts of courage, multiplied by millions, could create a wave of change that could wash away even the most deeply entrenched systems of corruption and injustice. Please subscribe to our channel History Documentary Hub for more insightful videos and intriguing content.